You're listening to Squatch Talks Podcast. Real stories and real encounters told by real researchers. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. That's going to be our Squatch Talks expedition location.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, that's awesome. That's a cool area right there.
And it's right on the water. The group site that I like is right on the water, and it backs up to nothing but woods. You know what I mean? And there's a good chance that something can come right up on us there. I mean, yeah, it's a family kind of group site. I mean, or campsite. You know,
Totally.
what I mean? Not like, well, I mean, even Hawkins Bridge is attached to the individual private, individual tent camp. So it's the same thing. But
So
there's a lot of areas right there, though. I think that'll be good, including Bass River. So
I was actually going to bring this up to you. I was actually scrolling the interwebs, and I was on the Facebook Jersey Pine Barrens group. I don't know if you saw it. There was some guy out there camping. I mean, he posted on this Jersey Pine Barrens page at Hawkins Bridge, and he was like, "Hey, does anyone know who like?" I keep hearing people I keep hearing someone running past my tent, and I don't know if you saw that post or not, but like he was saying that like somebody on two legs would be running past his tent like really fast or something, and then of course you have the people, the smart Alex in the page like saying, "Oh, it's Jersey Devil," or it's a deer, and then you got different people saying Bigfoot, but.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty interesting to bring
when
up.
was the post? Recently?
Yeah, it was a couple of days ago.
And
I was going to tag you in it.
And did they say that it happened recently?
Yeah, I don't know I assumed, I don't know if they said it was exactly like, I don't know the exact note or anything, but how the post went, it sounded like it was recent, like probably past couple of days.
Okay. Interesting.
Really
Did they specify where they were camping?
No, they just said Hawkins Bridge.
Okay. Hawkins
Bridge.
Bridge.
Didn't really say anything else. They basically, that's all they said though. They were just saying like, yeah, we kept hearing someone running past our tent.
Well,
I thought it was.
That could be. I mean, we've had things run past our tent there.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting. That's really cool. I mean,
remember Art talking about that? He thought it was me.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
And I said to him, I heard something. I said I heard something early morning also running by my tent. That's cool. No, man, I want to get back out. In fact, it turned out it looks like tonight would have been decent to go out. Where were you?
Paradise Lakes.
Paradise Lakes? I haven't been there.
Out below there. It's a really cool area, man. There's a huge cedar swamp that goes down into the Batstow area. There's all sorts of like great oak forests all around. I saw like a bunch of deer while I was out there. It backs up the farmland and agricultural area. It's a pretty squatchy area, man. It looks really good.
Well, and it's in that area where you had your encounter. It's just further south.
I may have gotten a potential wood knock while I was out there. I think that it's a very cool area. I want to get out some more. I might actually get out there this weekend and get like deeper in the woods around there and check it all out. Problem with the area, it's a lot of ticks. Ticks. Tons of ticks. So that's the only issue I have with it so far, but hopefully get it.
That's always an issue, but it wasn't at Bodine when we were camping. There were no ticks. Really? I had one tick land on my leg, and I just picked them up and threw them in the fire, but that was it.
Now, is there a lot of grass?
Yeah, it was really crazy. And I didn't have any chiggers either, so I did Prometheus a little bit. Yeah, it was really good.
This expedition there sounds a lot better and better. I don't want to.
I'm telling you.
Deal with ticks.
You know what the plus side is? That because of the river right there, we can literally do the night op again on the river very easily because there's a launch right at the base camp. Literally right there. You can launch and then take the Wading River down to Beaver Branch. That's a nice run, and we can have a team, pick us up at the end and bring us back to base camp again. And have teams maybe along, staggered along. So
That's
that
a good idea. I like that idea a lot. I think that would definitely yield some good results doing that. I definitely think that that original thing that we did on the expedition, if we definitely have like more teams along the river and we've got multiple, how do I say it? Like we have the more ears out in that area, the better. Because I mean, what's no one, I don't think a lot of people squatched in the Pine Barrens on a river like that. I think it
no,
would definitely yield something different for sure.
definitely
So
agree. So that's a definite.
that's really
Try that again. I really, I was happy we were able to put that together.
that
Um,
was yeah that was great. Great planning with that. That was excellent.
I was just checking the email. I still haven't heard back from Matt, but I'm waiting to hear back as far as whether he have been approved or not as a new BIFRO investigator.
Different, yeah.
I'll keep I'll keep on him.
No rush, no rush. I'm definitely just gonna continue doing what I'm doing. I'm not in any way, shape, or form gonna be discouraged by anything.
I do recall.
Everyone's
Didn't Art mention though when we were out the last time? Didn't he mention that you were considered a NASBRO investigator now, though? Didn't he say something about
I
that?
don't think so. No, he
No,
kind of. I know he was saying like something about how he was impressed by
he did. He
me
did.
helping with leading people out,
Right.
and I was like, "Art, that's like the nicest thing I've ever." Like
He said
that
it to
was
me.
really
He said it to me on our
yeah.
way out, and that's why I brought it up because, like I said, and then he
Mhm.
personally said it to you. But he was very impressed with how you handled things and how you stepped up, and he made a point to mention it to me, which I thought was cool. So you know what?
Yeah,
If you come out tomorrow night, I can bring it up because we have our own organization, of course, NASBRO.
yeah.
Okay. But I mean, we can also officially make you part of NASBRO too. I don't think that's ever been done. I mean,
That would be honored.
right? I mean, I have
Yeah,
like three organizations: Squatch Talks, NASBRO, and
right.
DFBRO. I mean, it gets confusing, right? But
Yeah, it does. And I've been head deep in just looking at everything that goes on, and I've looked at. I don't know if you ever heard of P&W Bigfoot maps at all.
yeah. Hmm.
It's a app that I think Scott, for his name, came up with, created on as an app, and
Got
he's
Carpenter.
got. I think it was Scott Carpenter. Yeah, and that's another database that's kind of come up, and I mean, they take a lot of reports from everywhere. They take stuff from the BFRO, other research organizations.
File like not statistics, but like seasonal type stuff and things, right? I mean, like
Yeah, I mean,
that's
there's some
what
New Jersey reports.
I would
There's
love
some
to
new,
have somebody who's a data analyst who could do that. Like, Mike talks about how they have this cycle every 3 years, right? Kind of like
yeah, yeah,
the clockwise revolution around the state, right?
yeah,
Which again, I don't discount what he talks about, but I don't necessarily think it's exactly like that. You know what I mean? And of course, I disagree with him on the numbers. I think there's more than what he claims.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I could be wrong, you know.
It's all
Uh,
speculative, man.
yeah, we don't know. But I think that having an
We don't
analyst
know.
who can take the data and cram it all together might yield some results as far as what is the likeliness of being in a certain area. You know what I mean? Like I hate to use the word algorithm like they do on Expedition
Yeah,
Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If that were so exact, and why didn't they get better results? And then the thing that blew that out of the water was when they were in Washington State and they got a report from somebody at the gas station saying, "Oh, my friend in the military said you got to go here." And so all of a sudden they're leaving Washington and going to Northern California. Like, oh, what happened to your algorithm? Like,
it sounds it's a bunch of ambulance chasing, man. I mean, it's a bunch of ambulance chasing. Like I said, my biggest goal in doing this type of research is to find those patterns and find like those like things where people don't look at. Like if you look at reports in other places, there's legitimate reports of like certain individuals being seen in the same area, same time of the year, like every 10 years or every 5 years. Like there's stuff like that. And it just seems like there's stuff like that's hard to hoax. So I want to find that same type of thing in New Jersey. And we're already kind of seeing like the same algorithm in the research area that we're researching
absolutely.
with Andy's reports and the with what I've experienced out there and other people have heard out there. I mean, it's something that I want to like dig deep in and look into it.
No, seriously though, Jacob, I think you have the ability, and really, you probably have the skills to start compiling the data. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you probably did it with your snake research.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten a lot of it from.
I'm
was
saying,
doing the snake surveys. Yeah,
you could just substitute Sasquatch for the snakes and put together the data in the same manner you would do that, right? With the herpetology.
yeah, totally. Yeah, man, that's the deal. It's
welcome back to Squatch Talks podcast.
How's everyone doing?
Hi.
Better and better. Hey, I'm Eric Spinner, your host, and I have my friends Jacob and Cassandra on with me this evening. Say hello. So yeah, we are.
Hey guys. Hello.
We are talking about some events that we're planning, and also some past things that we've experienced together. But Jacob and I have been talking, and Cassandra decided to grace us with her presence as well, and maybe we'll even tell a story if we're nice. So sit tight. But yeah, Jacob and I were supposed to be out in the forest tonight, right? But
yeah, got a little rainy out there.
unfortunately, the weather's not conducive, so we're going to get out tomorrow night. But we're going to take you with us. So hang on to your weaves, okay? We're going to get out there, and we're going to actually, do what we've been talking about, is actually filming some of the stuff that we do when we're out doing this research, and hopefully you'll enjoy the ride and want to come back again. So I just want to start off by taking care of some business. I like to get that out of the way in the beginning because, people's attention spans aren't always the greatest nowadays,
Totally.
I want to thank all our new subs and all the people who stuck and stayed. Don't forget to, like and share and sub. Also comments. If you leave comments in the comment section, that really helps us grow the channel. So we appreciate that very much. Thank you. And of course, the guys at the Yeti Lair. All right. I want to thank Tyrell and Eli at YetiBars.net for producing their fine products. And of course, the new Squatch Talks podcast bar and body wash. I can't wait to try the body wash. I don't know if it's going to have the fine cedar shavings in there or not, but who knows? So yeah, you can go to YetiBars.net and remember to use code STP10 at checkout, and you'll get 10% off your order. And they have everything in stock right now, so go check them out. Help support a small company. Another sponsors to thank. I'm not doing the caveman coffee tonight. I'm gonna save that for next week. But tonight we're just basically, like I said, talking about some of the things that we've been doing. Jacob and I and Art have been out a few times at a consistent location, and trying to kind of get the locals used to our presence. That's something that we like to do, is be consistent with what we wear, the vehicles, the types of provocations and things. And actually, we haven't been doing a lot of provocations, have we, Jacob?
No, we haven't. We've been mostly going out there, sitting down. We would, BS with each other, have fun. Me and Eric were out there throwing around a glow ball one night next to the bridge. We just go out there. We make ourselves as entertaining as possible. We try not to make as many provocations because we don't want to like intimidate anything, or we want to make something come in kind of close to check us out.
And feel welcome, And so, of course, it's been really pursuing that kind of routine for over a year now, and really just kind of going in like we used to in the early beginning, stages of our research, where we would just go in and sit quietly. And if we heard something come near, we might do a gentle whoop, kind of just letting them know that we know they're there, basically. So we kind of, drifted away from that and got more into like the finding Bigfoot kind of routine, with going out in two teams and doing the back and forth provocations, all that kind of nonsense. So I don't know. I was saying on our past expedition though, right? Back to basics. That was the theme, if you recall.
It was very nice.
And Cassandra was there with us as well. And I'll tell you what, Jacob really stepped up, and Art really was impressed with how well you just jumped right in and took a leading role in helping out and taking people out into the woods, which is really good to see. So that's why we nominated him for an investigator status. So we're waiting to hear if that's been approved. So keep your fingers crossed. And hey, everybody, reach out to Matt, text him, and send messages encouraging
Just
him.
don't annoy him too much. I want to make a good. I want to try to make a good impression.
Yeah, well, I'm just kidding, and nobody else has his number.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I'll keep after him. We'll get you on board. If not, we'll make you a member of Hasbro, right? North American Sasquatch Bigfoot Researchers Organization. It's a mouthful. That's why we say NASBRO. But hey,
Yes,
we're talking Squatch Talks tonight, right? So anyway, we're going to get out tomorrow night, though, and we haven't quite decided where to go. We're kind of running a couple of ideas. Of course, you all know about the recent sighting that Melanie had back in May, end of May, which I hope you enjoyed that last episode. It was kind of different how I had the video, the audio that I recorded the interview on back of the GoPro footage that I took of that actual road. And then I included the camera footage of when I got back in the car with her and we recreated it. Again, I could have done better. Like we drove up the road and I told Tom, I radioed Tom and I said, okay, Tom, start walking now. And it was perfect. Like where Tom was walking was exactly where the Squatch was walking along the road. Obviously, I didn't make him leap 10 feet.
yeah, be a little tough to do that.
I should have said something as we were driving past, like, hey, how does Tom's height compare to what you saw? You know what I mean? And I neglected to do that. We did that afterwards when we turned around and came back. I then asked her those questions as to comparison of size and the body, she said, was much bigger, much wider, but she only saw a silhouette because of apparently the angle of the sun rising and everything. She didn't see really any facial features. It was a dark hair colored individual, and those things happen really quick, but we did check to see if there was any impressions from, if something leaps, you would expect to find something in the ground, right? Same thing, though, happened with the investigation that Art and Heather and I followed up in April of 2018 with the couple who had the one leap behind their car, and she saw it in the rear view. Again, we didn't find anything definitive as far as any impressions. A couple of potential things that it could have been, So these are the types of things we do to follow up when we're speaking with a witness and to determine if it's a legitimate sighting or not. And I kidded around. I said, oh, it could have been that young man I saw walking in the front yard of the house that I called Travis, because he had long hair, but he wasn't that big. So anyway, it's always great when you have a witness report their sighting quicker rather than later, right? So the sooner the better. But hey, we'll take whatever information you want to provide to us. So if you've had a sighting, remember, you can go to nasbro.net and you can submit it to our database. You can also go to the bfro.net and we can follow up with you there. But yeah, those are a couple of ways. And if you have any questions or comments or things you'd like us to do or see in the future, go to squatchtalkspodcast@gmail.com. All right. So that's our email, squatchtalkspodcast@gmail. So yeah, that was fun, and it was great to follow up with Melanie and her uncle Tom, who's been on our expeditions in the past. In fact, he couldn't make this last one that we just had, but he dropped off a ton of wood, which was really nice of him. He's such a great guy.
What's expensive?
And the last time you and me and Art went out last Saturday, right?
Yeah.
We had a surprise guest join us. I did mention Greg, right, who's been following the channel and has been a friend for a while. He came out with us, so that was cool because that gave us the ability to split up into two teams, right? Why don't we talk a little bit about that? What happened that night, Jacob?
Yeah, so we basically I got out there a little bit later. I thought the funny thing is we started out, I went to meet you at another intersection, and I actually ended up driving way up the road almost to our destination. And I realized I was supposed to meet you back at the other spot, and I was just there checking out this little gifting station I set up. That which yielded no results. So we got out there and we were driving down the road towards these towards the island or where we were investigating at, and we come across these interesting like tree manipulations that were on the side of the road there. These are trails that were obviously blocked off by these bent over trees. They were wedged in the trunks, and I didn't take any pictures of them or anything, but I mean, they look pretty interesting. I mean, I lean towards it being human, obviously, but it was weird kind of seeing that, driving past that and seeing the
I caught that.
That
I caught that out of the corner of my eyes. We're going past, and I backed up. I said, "Hey guys, check this out!" Right? And
I'm surprised it's all
interesting. And it at first could have been, something worth looking at. Greg actually did go back the following day. I don't know if I've told you this. He did go back during the day and checked it out, and he sent me some more pictures. But he really did feel like it was done by people, maybe trying to deter, ATVers from going down that trail. Okay. He said there was indication that it was done by humans. However, he wound up getting stuck in the sugar sand.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Yeah. And was out there all day and had no luck getting out until and I was gonna close early and go pull him out. But he wound up getting a guy in a Jeep to assist him, and he threw him some money to help out with that. But he did find a line of tracks in the sand, which he found interesting, that were off to the side, kind of like the ones you found, though, in one of your areas. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, again, it's really hard to tell with photographs, and he sent me pictures, but it's hard to tell just from photographs, But those tree manipulations did appear to be human, he said. So then we got out to our destination, right? We picked you up, we left your car, and we got to our area that we were going to research that night, and we set up a little base camp. And we always kind of sit quiet for a while, kind of getting accustomed to the sounds around us. And then I say, hey, how about we split into two teams and we'll split up. And Art went with Greg towards the swamp, right, in one direction. And you and I went across from where we were set up down the other trail. And tell us about that. I think you remember going.
Yeah. So before that, actually. Yeah. So before that, we actually were sitting there for a while, and we actually had what sounded like something big come up on us, and it was like, I don't know what they call it, snorting or something, but turns out it was like a buck.
I think that was
remember that deer that came up on us. It was just like huffing and kind of making all sorts of these sounds. So that was pretty interesting and cool. I never had a buck come up on us like that.
Remember, we couldn't see it on therm though.
Yeah, that was weird. We couldn't, even though it was right.
I get it, man. We have this technology, right? But we don't see it. The woods are pretty dense.
They are.
Right.
And that area in general is very thick with foliage. It's right between two swampy areas, and there's a ton of greenbrier and tons of huckleberry and inkberry, and it's just so thick with foliage there that it's hard to even move through. There's actually an old blueberry grove that's just down the way from there where there's someone was growing blueberries there way back in the day, so that's another really good food source.
And it's coming into season, so there's no reason why the individuals coming there at this time of year to utilize
totally.
So you and I had and it got narrower. Remember, the trail got more narrow.
Yeah, it was narrow.
It
was narrow, man.
Good thing I had my permethrin on. Of course, you're traipsing around.
Yeah.
Come get me, sticks and chiggers. But so I had said to you at one point, because we literally had to crawl under some bushes. There was a path, but it was
the bushes, remember? And we crawl into
Yeah.
and down on this like a little bit of a clearing in a cedar swamp. And that's when I radioed the other team and I said, why don't we do some back and forth knocks? You recall?
Yeah.
And also when we got into that clearing, there was that broken tree that was broken pretty high up.
Right above our heads.
Which
Right
was
above our heads.
yeah. So we
Never
did a
remember.
couple of knocks. I did one, then they responded very faint. Remember, we could barely hear, and they could barely hear us. So that was interesting. Again, very thick woods. And we didn't do a lot. We didn't do a lot of provocations. Again, just a couple. We waited, tried to get it a little thicker. I think we did see a couple of interesting potential like tree breaks or whatever. But we weren't able to get too far at that point. That cedar swamp, I think, really butted up against the marsh area, right? So we weren't really outfitted for, with rubber, what do they call those, mud boots and things to get any.
Yeah, the little boot waders or whatever they are.
Yeah, so Art has used waders over at another area and had some success. But so we kind of hung out there for a while. And then I don't remember what happened, but we decided let's head back towards base camp. And if you recall, we're heading back, and it's like, wait a minute, this isn't the way. And I was like, I had said to you, this place reminds me of Vortex.
Yeah. It was bad back there. It was very thick. We were
because again, it's like the Vortex is, So we got a little bit turned around, but managed to find our way out. Between the two of us, we kind of doubled back, saw that big tree that was broken, and managed to get back on trail, which really wasn't much of a trail at that point. We got back out, and that's when I had gone beyond my truck where it was parked, and I think I did calls. That's what it was. And really on the edge of my hearing, I heard a response.
Yeah, I heard something whoop.
Yeah, a definite whoop, right?
Definite whoop.
After that, we kind of hung out, you and I, we sat there for a while, and then Art and Greg wound up walking back, and I could hear them coming through their red LED. And that's when I asked Art if he had done a whoop. And he says, well, since you didn't radio me to alert me that you were doing a call, I figured I could do a couple of whoops. So I don't know, because it didn't sound like the whoop came from their direction.
It came from behind your truck, I recall.
I'm pretty sure it did.
General area.
Yeah,
and they were way on the other side.
Yeah. So again, it wasn't an earth-shattering night. We didn't have anything like come up on. But we got to decide if we want to continue researching that area or if we want to maybe check out something different, So
yeah, sure. And my goal mostly is to try to formulate a pattern in that area and see what areas would be best, and maybe put some like long duration recorders out there or put some trail cameras out there and kind of figure out the right areas where I feel like we might have a better shot at catching stuff. So I really want to do a lot more exploring in that general area of that particular section of work where we're just kind of going.
And that's something I definitely feel you're quite capable and qualified to assist in. I just remembered as you were saying that, I got a message from Andy. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And this was probably a week ago, not even July 14th. So less than a week. And I've got 2 photos he sent me. Probably won't be able to see this too well, but that's a track impression.
Ooh.
Here's one. Let's see if I can blow it up a little. This is actually his foot next to the track. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, that's definitely a footprint. Seems like
That's interesting.
Okay, and I was going to. I reached out to him and I said, "Oh wow!" I said, "That looks like the outline of a heel." And so he sent me a third photo. And I always say when you got to, draw circles with red things. It's not real, but
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a definite imprint. Okay.
Yeah.
Another photo he sent me. The cool thing is, it was by the swamp that we were at prior to the last time we were out. Remember when we left Art by himself
Yeah.
and we walked around?
Wow.
It was near. It says this was in the swamp by the old blank. And I said we were out there last week, and it's very squatchy. And
Yeah.
he came to me. He said, "Yeah, no problem." And then we never were able. I wasn't able to connect with him the next day. But that's a recent thing. So
That's recent.
I know you're thinking like where we were might have been a good spot to continue with, but maybe we should go back to that spot and
I
do
think so.
and do what we said last time. Remember where we saw that kind of like location where we thought might be a good remote camping area?
Yep.
On that side of on the opposite side?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of setting up where we normally do, we go around to the other side.
I think we should do that for sure.
Let's do that.
It's a good area.
All right.
Yeah. That works for me, man. That's totally down with that.
Cool. So we'll meet at the same
That's-
location. We'll meet at the same location that we usually do. Okay. Not the new entrance. The normal entrance. Okay. And you can hop in with me and we can take the truck around.
Sounds good.
I don't want to drive. I don't want to hike in all the way and set up something. I'd rather have the vehicle nearby. You know what I mean? In case we need to make a hasty retreat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I have to actually take his car tomorrow to work.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding.
Done at
I get done at 6, but I don't know how early you guys want to get out.
We're gonna be out.
Don't worry. That'll work. Yeah, we don't.
I was gonna say like we'll be back by
Well,
the
I
time
didn't know
we
if you
get
wanted to
out.
scout earlier or not.
Well, we
I don't know
usually
if you've ever been to
usually
there.
just go out and wait.
We've been there, so
Okay.
we know where we're going.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's very considerate of you. Thank you.
appreciate that.
But that's not a problem. We'll work it out. And usually I like to get there as it's getting dark. Usually it's better to get there when it's still a little light, so you can get set. But our normal time will work. Okay. But no, I think that's cool. I think that's a good spot to check out, especially based on these new images.
And then obviously Art had something knock close to his camp. Remember he radioed us and said he got knocked and something came up on him.
Yeah.
And he was like I wouldn't say he was freaking out, but he was definitely like
I would say
worried.
he was unnerved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit it's like when you had one further up the trail come up on you in the dark, you're unnerved. It's a normal response.
It's very unnerving, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. So and then to make matters worse, I wish he was here with us talking tonight, because to make matters worse, what did he see happen right in front of him with regards to your vehicle?
I saw my light turn on, my interior light on my Subaru turn on by itself.
How freaky is that?
Like I said, my keys never touched anything. I was in range of my Subaru where I could have manipulated the light. And he said he was just sitting there. The light turned on for a second or two and then turned back off.
Yeah.
So,
and
that was the general area.
Remember, we tried.
Yeah, we tried to. I was hitting stuff on my phone, my key. And the thing is, with my car, when I hit the unlock button, the lights don't come on.
Yeah, and it also sets alarm if you do it without it. So.
And he said that's the general area where where he got something kind of coming in close to check him out. Where, I thought that was pretty interesting. That was a weird correlation.
Yeah.
Parallel between the two events.
And he saw some flickering red lights also. I think he had red lights where we had seen some white lights. And it's funny, you mentioned we were having that catch with the glow ball. That's always a good technique. You know what I mean?
It'd be interesting.
We were able to catch that ball. That was pretty amazing that we even were able to, right?
$1. It's $1 at the dollar store. It's the coolest little thing ever. I mean, this lasts very long.
I found some glow sticks at the pop-up when I was doing the demo. So I'll bring them with us.
Awesome. Totally.
But yeah, that was pretty cool. And then we had tried a couple of different provocations, and those sounded really good from our location to where he was. But we didn't have responses, of course, to that. But he was having, he radioed us and he said, I'm having something happen here. It was
I
almost
thought
like,
I heard that knock.
come back.
Yeah, he was definitely a little bit unnerved by whatever he was experiencing back at base camp. I mean, it was definitely freaky. I mean, we
I was there by
both
myself.
pretty.
You guys were over on the other side. I'd be like, yo, I'm here by myself. There's something going on.
Hurry up what you're doing over there and
This
get
is
back.
back here.
Yeah.
I could hear it.
I don't
He
either.
was hoping we would head back, you know what I mean? But then you left
Yeah.
the glow ball. Remember you put the glow ball out on that tree out in the woods?
Yep.
Hoping maybe leave it as a gift for somebody. And I think that's a great area for us to check out this time because it's kind of in the middle of where things have been happening. You know what I mean?
It's right in that trap. So that's like a travel route I've always looked at it as, where something can get from our island area, come in through the swamp around there, and then get to the ford or the forge, where there's been other experiences that
Right, chatter, right? I'll say it.
and
That's a plan. That's a plan, and we'll try to film it, at least partially. Obviously, I don't have the night vision cameras, but I was watching a thing on GoPros today. There are some night settings you can try, so we'll see. Maybe with headlamps, we can get enough of an image to make it worthwhile. But
I'm saying, yeah.
Speaking of at night in the forest, I mean, Cassandra's been very gracious to join us, and you know, rather than just sitting there looking good, do you feel like maybe telling about what happened when you were out with Jacob and Coop that time?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it. So basic sorry. So basically, it was really, really moonlit the night that I had my encounter.
Mhm. Tell us the time.
So
It was
we
like
were.
November, right?
Pardon?
It was the time of year around
November.
November,
It was November.
It was late November.
right? Yeah,
Late
okay.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Was that long ago?
Yeah.
Feels like it was just yesterday.
2021, late November 2021.
So pretty much Jake and Cooper his friend Cooper, they were going to go on a night hike to Hawkins Bridge. And I went with them. And this was before I even believed in Bigfoot. I used to make fun of Jake for believing in Bigfoot. I mean, we've gotten into arguments over it. I used to think that he was crazy. And I was like, I don't know. So pretty much he leaves me in the car, like a good boyfriend at the time, in the middle of the night, in the woods.
Watch bait.
To go hiking to Hawkins Bridge because he had to park, I think, like a mile away.
So the road was like extremely like flooded and treacherous around this time. It was after a lot of rain and stuff. So the reason why we parked so far away was because I really wanted to get down to the bridge and look for footprints, and I ended up parking way far up. So
yeah, I would say
on maps,
3 miles.
Yeah, no, on maps it looked a lot closer, but once we started hiking, and we were already like almost there by the time we were like, crap, this is really far of a walk. Like,
yeah.
So I decided I'm going to take a nap. And at the time, I didn't know Jake was looking for footprints. I thought he was doing his herpetology stuff, looking at, snake areas, just trying to see where he could, look at them.
Yeah.
And pretty much, I'm sitting in the car, I took a nap for maybe like half hour. And I wake up, I felt like when I woke up, I felt like something was watching me. And I thought maybe it was just, paranoia being in the woods. And I was like, okay, and it's probably nothing. So it's very moonlit and I can see trees. I can see the dirt path that's in front of me. We're parked off to the side. So like the car is like from the car looking over, you can see like a dirt path pretty much straight ahead. And I get up, it's probably like 5 minutes after I'm up. So, my mind's already awake at that point. And I just kept feeling like this eerie feeling, like something's looking at me. And I look up because I think I was like adjusting the blanket or I was doing something. And I look up, and next thing you know, I see only legs and hands do like a ballerina jump. Like, how I forget what it's called. It's like a
just a
Pirouette.
ballerina, like
Yeah. It
pirouette.
was like, they can do that.
A pirouette. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Pirouette.
I thought, it was super quick. It was like probably like, I don't know, not even a second. It was really fast.
Huh.
And now it's about a second. And I remember seeing the hair on this creature. It's very. It looks like it was very coarse. It was straight.
Mhm.
And it looked very well groomed. I didn't get a good glimpse of the hands because of the way it was just the way that the moon was shining.
More silhouette.
Yeah, you could, yeah. But I can get like good detail of like what was on the creature. I didn't see the hands though, because I guess I was just so busy looking at the inner body. But it went from one side of the pathway, jumping across the sandy path
Yeah.
into the other, like the woods next to it.
So from where
So
you're looking, it went from your left to your right in front of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how big this creature was until Jake and I went back. Well, actually, hold on. Let me go backwards in this.
Okay.
So basically, he comes back. Probably, well, I was terrified. I was shaking. I was just terrified. I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, what is this?
She was so frightened.
And he comes back, like probably 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
I'm shaking. I'm pissed
Yeah.
that he left me in the car in the middle of the woods for that long.
By yourself.
Things are out there. And so, I'm just sitting there. I'm not even talking to him. I didn't say nothing to him. And I'm just quiet. And, he says, like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. But in my head, I'm just sitting there. I'm quiet. And then halfway to home, it's probably like good 25 minutes after we leave or whatever, I tell him, I'm like, I saw something. And he's like, you want to say something to that?
Yeah, so she told me so she was pissed at me, obviously. She wasn't talking to me, it's a very quiet first 25 minutes. So we're driving back and she's like, I saw something. I think I saw a Bigfoot. And I'm like,
I didn't say Bigfoot.
right? Yeah.
I said I saw something.
Yeah, she said she saw something.
Because I was so skeptical.
And I'm just like, I'm looking at her kind of like, what? I don't think you saw anything. Like I'm kind of trying to play it down or anything. And she's like, no, I really saw, like, you saw something.
Yeah, and I was in my head when I saw it, I was thinking deer. And then I'm like, deer aren't bipedal.
Right.
Well, I didn't say bipedal, but they don't run on two legs because I didn't know what bipedal meant at the time.
Sure. But that's what your mind naturally wraps around in this area.
Yeah. Like I thought it was deer. But like you were saying.
Yeah, and I just kind of would believe her. I was kind of like, oh, you're just, we're out there in the woods. You got a little bit psyched out. I'm out there. I'm the Bigfoot guy.
You're pissed off. You just want to make me feel bad now because I hiked 3 miles each way with my bud, and you're the one who's getting activity. That's basically what
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't think about that.
So, anyway, before we get too much further than that, I want to say that like when we were all walking up to our car, and we're probably like 5-10 minutes away from our car. We're walking up the trail, and me and Cooper did hear what sounded like something hauling butt through the woods coming from that direction
and going past you,
like diagonal, like the other direction. And it sounded like it was kind of far out. So I was like, oh, we just spooked a deer or something. So it wasn't really.
That would make sense, though.
It wasn't really on my mind.
If
it would make sense.
Across the road that way, it would be heading in that direction.
And that's what I'm saying. It sounded like something off, like probably maybe like, I don't know, like a couple, like 150, couple hundred yards away, running, just sprinting through the woods. And I'm thinking like, oh, there's some deer running away from coyotes or something. I wasn't really thinking much of it. And
how loud was it? Did it sound loud?
The funny part is when I heard it, I didn't hear anything. I was in the car though. Keep that in mind. So the doors were shut. Like it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you didn't have your interior light on in the car, right?
No, there was no lights. I actually, we were in a Subaru. So like there's like this little light at like the front of the car. I actually had paper over that because I wanted to take a nap and that light was in my face shining.
So, and you said you had just woken up, right, from a nap. Did you have your phone lit up at all at that point, or was
no? I didn't even look at my phone yet. I looked at it for a second.
No, the reason
it was on very low.
But there's a
Like,
reason I'm asking, Cassandra, is because obviously if you had taken a nap, right, and you woke up and it's dark out, you'd have the ability, because your eyes are already in dark mode, to see
yeah,
outside,
it feels like the
by moonlight. You know what I mean? But had you
yeah,
turn on an interior light, which if you do that, then obviously it's hard to see outside of the windshield even. But
yeah.
the phone screen could then distort your night vision, is the point I'm bringing up. So you had
I
just
looked at it first. I turned it on for a split second to just look at the time, and then I turned it off because it was, it wasn't bright, but I didn't want to like look at it because I liked being able to see what was outside.
right. And you did say that it wasn't immediately. You kind of had this impression like you felt like you were being watched for a while.
Yeah,
And,
that's kind of. I think I was kind of one of the reasons I subconsciously did that.
okay. Yeah.
But like you're saying, when if it was noisy at all, it just sounded like something off in the distance, like breaking branches and running, just leaves crackling underneath of it. And like I said, it was so far off, I couldn't like tell if it was bipedal or not.
And
You know how it gets like super.
I've heard deer running through the woods, and guess what? I don't necessarily recall hearing them breaking a lot of branches.
Oh no, they don't, and
Very
They
that
really
graceful.
they're
don't.
very grateful.
And
But in my mind, I'm like, yeah. In my mind, I'm like, that's got to be a deer. Like I wasn't. That's the thing. It was because it's so quiet at night. We were actually out there kind of calling for owls too and stuff. So
Mhm.
we were trying to listen for that type of stuff. But it was so quiet at night. We just heard it in the distance. We didn't really think much of it.
Yeah.
As for me, when what was I saying? Oh, I hate that.
As
Well,
you're saying,
but you were saying it as you started out. You were saying how you didn't believe at all in Bigfoot, and then this kind of
Yeah, no, I didn't believe Bigfoot. Even after this encounter, like for a little bit, I still didn't believe like that because I really didn't know what I saw, and I was still in shock for like probably a day or two. Well, not really. I wasn't really in shock. I was more I didn't want Jake to be right. I didn't want you to be right. I really
obviously
didn't.
you still held a grudge a couple of days later. You're feeling a little resentment, but I
Yeah.
didn't mention, but that couple that I had said earlier, we were doing the follow up on, okay, that saw the Bigfoot in their rearview mirror. Guess what? The woman who saw it, described it exactly the same way you did, saying it looked like a ballerina doing a pirouette.
Really.
Yes. And she knows what a deer looks like, obviously. She said it wasn't a deer. Okay. And this thing leaped right across the road. We couldn't get her husband to recreate it. He was having some issues with his leg at the time. But I'm saying, same type of description. You said it exactly as she did. Looked like a
And
ballerina.
it's so funny because when I was telling Jake all of this, I knew nothing about Bigfoot.
Right.
I was ignorant, and I didn't do any research on it. I knew nothing about it.
And you didn't care about it either. I mean, really.
No, I didn't. Who's gonna care about what normal person who didn't have an encounter is gonna care about some big 9-foot creature or whatever, however big
Mm-hmm.
in the woods? You know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, I didn't realize how big it was until Jake and I went back in the daytime, probably a year later, to the same spot.
Right.
And I showed him where I saw this thing jump from.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a game trail where I saw it jump.
there was a pronounced trail where you can tell lots of woodland critters like deer and raccoons and stuff have made a trail going through the swampy area that this thing appeared to have come from and jumped across the road.
Yeah. And I know that area, and it is swampy. It really is. You can get lost in there pretty easy.
Totally.
Yeah. And again, something that is trying to avoid detection, because I'm sure it knew there was a vehicle there, whether or not it was maybe observing you from afar at first, and then maybe got, scared by something and it leaped across the road, hopefully trying to avoid you seeing him or whatever. I mean, you didn't have the car headlights on or nothing, you know what I mean? So there wasn't anything besides moonlight, but that was enough for you to see at least the image of something, crossing the road. And it happens like that, obviously,
Yeah, it was really quick.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And so when we went back, Jake was like, how big would you say this, the leg was? And I was like, well, I mean, the torso had to come up to your head.
Yeah.
Like it had to have started at his head, and Jake's like 6'2".
Yeah.
Right.
So it's in torso, like
Yeah, probably the torso probably started about here.
that's what I think my head would have been.
Probably. Yeah.
Wow.
So probably about like 6.5, 7 foot
Well,
tall
keep
individual.
in mind though,
Yeah.
where she saw it was also in its leaping position. So it was
That's true.
probably
Yeah.
higher up. You know what I mean?
So it's probably smaller.
No, I saw it. It was bigger.
Okay.
It was
It
bigger.
was bigger than you, and she's saying you're a big guy to begin with, you know?
I'm saying this is where the like the torso started.
Oh, okay.
Like this
Where
is
the
where the leg
abdomen-
is. Like
where
the
the
leg to the
abdomen
torso.
would
I didn't know that.
Oh wow. That's big.
It
But
was big. Like, it was big. It was a big thing. I'm surprised I didn't hear it. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm taking into consideration though that you said it did like this ballerina thing, you know what I mean? Where it leaped over the road. So I'm assuming the torso would still be higher by 2 or 3 feet if it was leaping. That's my point that I'm trying to bring up. I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
no,
I'm
no, you're fine. I'm just that was what I saw.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And again, you made a description that's been reported by other people as well. So that's kind of a neat correlation. So again, you said you weren't out, interested in Bigfoot. You weren't really interested in
No.
looking at Bigfoot. You were just kind of hanging out,
I used to make fun of him.
right.
Yeah, she,
Like,
she,
He used to get pissed at me for making fun of him.
yeah.
So when did
Sure.
things change for you?
I feel like this is like
Like an intervention or something?
yeah, like well, not even that. Like I'm going to a
Yes.
church interview or something.
So Cassandra.
When did you actually start? No,
Good
but
stuff.
I would have to say it was probably 2 days after the day after the incident. That happened to the sighting. Jake actually came over.
Started turning, and you're kind of like, what the
Sorry?
hell? I said the wheels kind of start turning a couple of days later, right? And you're like, what the heck did I say?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the day after, I'm still in bed because I sleep later than Jake.
Mhm.
And, I'm getting up and he's already up and doing his thing.
Yep.
He comes in and I'm laying in bed and he's like, "So, what happened last night?"
Yeah.
And for a second, I was like, "Something happened last night?" And I was joking, and I was like, "No, see, this is what happened." And then I told him, obviously everything that happened, and good, you're gonna.
Yeah, so she basically kind of told me the entire event in its entirety, what happened, because she didn't really tell me the night before exactly what transpired that night. So obviously I'm looking more into it. I'm like, once you described like how it kind of jumped and it did the ballerina pose, I'm like, there's no way that was something she just
It was
created.
fresh in my
in her
mind,
head.
you know what I mean? Like, and I knew that he thought I was lying,
Yeah.
and that's why I was like, "Oh, something happened last night," and then
But once I heard that, I'm like, there's no way she's just gonna guess that that's what. Because I told her then, like another report in 2018,
That's the one I'm
that
talking
the
about.
lady described. Yeah, she's been described it the same way, like it jumped across the road, almost like a ballerina.
and I knew nothing. And keep in mind, I didn't have any signal out there. Nothing. Did no research.
Hmm.
Like.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then probably the day after is when I started to get a little more interested, and this was before I met you,
Okay.
because I remember Jake was like, "Oh, my friend has my he didn't tell me that you were a Bigfoot friend.
Mhm.
He said my friend has a Health Haven store or like a health store." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we should go. I'll meet your friend."
Yep.
And we get in, we go into your
My shop.
store, and I see your Bigfoot stuff, and I'm like, "Oh."
Aha.
So then I was like, you know what? Fine, I guess.
You're like, there's another nutcase.
But then, like, once Jake really started to do more research into it, though, after my incident, it was actually kind of nice to know that there was somebody else who had the same encounter,
Yeah.
or had people who had similar encounters, I should say.
That's absolutely true, and that's something we hear from so many witnesses, like just having the resources to to be able to describe what happened and to get it off their chest without being ridiculed or mocked means so much to so many people, you know, and that's why, as an outlet for that type of thing, it's great, because I don't keep it a secret, you know what I mean? That's why I have the stuff here, and I don't, you know, I had a lady in yesterday, and I was helping other customers, and she was just standing here looking at the stuff, and literally was like so impressed by it. And like, I have to tell my fiance about this, she says, like, you know, and I don't keep it a secret, because if somebody has something happen, they know where to go, you know?
Exactly.
The funny part is Jake, he wanted to keep it like more secretive when he first started doing research.
Yeah, I mean, when I first, obviously, when my sighting report came out, it made some news headlines and stuff, and you know, when the whole thing with the snake and all that stuff, I had some friends messaging me saying like, dude, you lost your freaking mind, like, what are you doing?
You're in that herpetologist community, and they don't like
exactly. And that's the thing, is like, there's a lot of scientific minded people frown on that type of stuff, because you have the loudest people who are in the community are the ones who are coming up with the craziness and the stuff that are, and people don't look into the legitimate researchers who are out there putting in work, putting in time to go out and cast footprints, do research out there, and people like me and you who are actually like putting our like blood, sweat, and tears out there doing this type of stuff. And
right. Correct me if I'm wrong, but even in your, I say, correct me if I'm wrong, but even in that herpetologist community, right?
Yep.
If you even say a snake is poisonous as opposed to venom, they'll ban you from their group. You know what I mean?
They'll freak out, man. But
you say that a water moccasin will attack you, they'll ban you from the group. You know what I mean? They're so rigid when it comes to descriptive statements that, you know, you can easily get banned, right? So here, even
especially in New Jersey.
No, yeah, they are. I've noticed.
Yeah, but I mean, but on the flip side, I've personally had obviously won't name them, but I've had a few people who've personally come up to me and who are, you know, people who are in scientific circles and who do research and have degrees and stuff, who have some interest in it. And they're saying, well, I don't really believe in Bigfoot, but I'm interested in what type of research you're doing with it. How are you going about the research?
Right.
There's interest there, and there's people out there who are totally not going to poo-poo the subject, but I do think that a lot of the problems with the research, the community, is that there's just people who are just absolutely, you know, kind of making bonker claims and you know, are doing all sorts of stuff to make the subject more laughable and less scientific. Because I mean,
that's why we vet the people who come on these expeditions with us, because we don't want anybody who's coming on board to hoax or cause trouble. You know what I mean? I just interviewed another attendee for the Southeastern PA expedition, right, in the fall, and she's a professional, and she's a repeater, but she wants to bring her brother this time, and she has another friend who's interested in the topic. So it's interesting.
That's what we need, man.
Professionals, okay. I got another inquiry from a doctor in Connecticut the other day, wishing to attend one of these things. He says, well, this is only 4 hours away from me, so I might be able to actually make this, you know. Again, we're having more of these types of people who are credible, professional type individuals. You know, on this expedition coming up, I've got an eDNA scientist joining us. Okay. Awesome. And that's so unbelievable. Like before, we had a anthropologist on the expedition with us, and having these scientists on board enables us and helps us to become better at doing this research, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I just think Cassandra's story really rings true. I know the area very well, you know, and I can certainly, and there's been other reports from that area, so I can definitely say that, you know, I believe her when she tells me that she thinks she saw sleep across the room.
And let me tell you firsthand, man, she was emotionally, she was shaking. She was white as a ghost, man. Like she saw something. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't sure to think, because she knew I was the Bigfoot guy, and she didn't want to, like, I'm not sure how she wanted to put it with me, but like she definitely was freaked out by something. And I think seeing a deer or seeing something else like that isn't going to make you turn white as a ghost. I mean, I thought the reason why she was like that, I don't know if like some like people in Jeeps or dirt bikes were messing with her, or someone, you know, was messing with her.
Yeah, right.
But she was legitimately shaken.
And
honestly, I didn't even want to like tell him because like I didn't want him to be right.
Well, but I do.
I
do recall you wanting to tell me on the expedition, and things didn't quite work out as we would have liked because of the schedule and everything, the itinerary. But I did wind up going with Jacob, and I think you were there also. And we stopped at the location, and I got to see firsthand the distance from where you were to where you thought this individual leaped.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like you were saying, there is potential game trails that cross over that road, right?
Yep.
And something theoretically could have continued after jumping across the road down those woods and then paralleled you and Cooper, you know, in the opposite direction, of course. But you heard something, you know, running through, breaking branches and making a lot of noise. Who knows? And that time of year. That time of year is still a time for sure.
Oh yeah, totally, man. It was definitely super, super active for sure.
So, Cassandra, welcome to the club. I think you saw a Sasquatch.
Thanks, buddy.
As Bobo would do.
As Bobo would say.
Welcome to the club.
Who's Bobo?
All right,
I'm just kidding.
Get out of here. Get out of here. You're done. You're done.
I'll put on the hat, make it official.
Dude.
It's fine.
Do I look like Bobes? Kind of do.
Nah, you need to gain another 100.
Yeah, you're like a skinnier version.
You need to gain 150 pounds as a long hair. Yeah.
Eric had long hair.
Sorry, Bob. We love you.
He's still gaining the weight and grow another like.
Actually, he's lost a lot of weight. He's slimmed down.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot skinnier now. I saw recent pictures of him.
And speaking of Bobes, go see what is it called? Cliff and Bobo on their podcast, Bigfoot and Beyond. Okay.
Yep.
Check them out.
Good podcast.
Give them a follow. They have some interesting stories. In fact, I was on the premiere episode. Did I mention that? I was on their premiere podcast with Cliff and Bobo.
You were on their episode?
Yeah, the first one they ever did. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I listened.
It sucks. Never forget that.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's
hey,
funny.
You know, we've been talking a while, and I think this was a really fun episode. So I'm hoping that
a good episode, yeah.
We can take some of what we talked about. Maybe we'll get some footage tomorrow night, you know what I mean, out in the woods, and we'll put it together and hopefully get it up in time to air on Saturday night. And if not, you don't have to watch it Saturday, but hey, check us out on other podcast platforms near you. We're on Spotify, Apple Tunes, iHeart, you name it, Podbean. Check us out. And if you don't mind, give a thumbs up or whatever they call it, a rating. Good rating helps. Just looking to grow the channel. We're having fun. And Heather will join me again. She had a long day today. We would have liked to have had her grace us with her presence, but she decided to take a night off. So hopefully she'll come back again. We've been keeping busy and my battery's running low. So I guess this is as good a time as any to thank Jacob and Cassandra for joining me. Just came up with a message. Your battery's running low. I didn't plug in tonight because I didn't figure we'd be that long, but that's what happens when you watch, right? When you're talking Squatch, it's so interesting. You just can't stop. So I will see you tomorrow night, my friend, and Cassandra. Thank you very much. Hope you had a good time. And
thank you, Eric.
Hope you'll come back and join us again.
Thanks for squatching.
Thanks for squatching.
But you know what? Let's start. What I can do is I can take this portion and I can put it in the front, you know what I mean? And then include some of the conversation we had, you know what I mean? Ready.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm going to do. And we'll take it from there. Welcome back to Squatch Talk Podcast. And hopefully,
how's everyone doing?
I should have let you just do that. Let's start over. You know the drill. Welcome back to Squatch Talks podcast. I'm Eric Spit. Oh wait, I messed up. I like my oh.
But no, because now I'm an insurance agent, I work until 6 o'clock, so I'm tired 90% of the time.
I got the bug. Sorry, bug.
Oh, nice. So the Venus flytraps go.
I get them first try.
Yeah, Eric, I'll take a water.
I got my coffee. I don't even have any water. I don't even have my.
I felt a bit of hot mess.
I don't even have my black rifle. Where the hell's Heather?
Where's Heather?
Where's Heather? But I was telling Jacob I got the pop up in the works getting fixed up, so hopefully I have a camper
Oh,
in the near
There you
future.
go.
glamping.
Glamping, yes.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
I prefer roughing it though.
I love tent camping though. I'm still not that old.
I like the basic. Yeah, I like the basics.
It's very primal. It feels like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to just kind of be out.
Although there might be something to having something coming up and slapping the pop up.
Yeah, that would be a little freaky. I wouldn't like that at all. Or having something press their hand in the tent and
Well,
over your
maybe.
head while you're.
Well, I've had that. That's the thing. I've
Yeah,
had
you did.
experience. So I mean, and I've had the tent brushed, like we feel something brush the tent. That's also unnerving,
There's a level. There's never going to be a readiness, I don't think, out there for me to ever experience something like that. I don't see if that happened to me, I would probably scream like a little girl or something.
I think that you'd be in shock.
I would be in shock.
You wouldn't
You're
scream.
right.
I think you would literally just stay there.
Because even when I had my encounter with the thing walking up to me, I felt frozen. I felt like I was just.
Oh, totally. It's a normal response.
Actually, it was probably exactly about a year ago, over at in Brent T. Burn, and we heard that roaring, almost like that roaring coming from the swamp. That was really freaky, and it puts like a primal like fear inside of you that something out there is much bigger than you is out there making noises. I don't even know how I slept in the tent that night. I was so.
Oh, totally. I know. Well, that's the thing. Like when we were with Brian and he howled before we got, you know what I mean? Before we were asleep. And Heather was like awake for like 2 hours. Speaking of which, she just got back. Hey, welcome back.
My love.
Squatch Talks podcast. Hey.
How's everybody doing?
Look who's on. Come around. Come around.
What?
Don't be so yeah.
Hi.
Babe, you gotta go get something, a tank top on.
I can't do this right now. I'm Ryan framed for that.
I've been waiting.
I love you.
Love you.
She'll come. So I'm gonna have to say goodnight. I love you.
All right, man.
Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll work out the details for tomorrow. All right.
Good, man.
All right, sounds good.
I'll text you tomorrow.
Thanks. Good night.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Squatch Talks podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and give us a like, and stay tuned for more exciting stories on Squatch Talks.